mosquitoes. It's a rainy day. Rainy day in the attic. I did this earlier. Like, I recorded for like 20 minutes, but it actually wasn't recording. So I read like 10 pages of this, and my phone just was off. I don't know why. It's just like iPhones suck. And I don't know. It just doesn't really work very well. So I think I'm gonna like stop this one a few times. Or like just look at it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So yeah. This is the second half of 1980 that we're gonna do today. My relatives are here. I think they said they were about to leave, but like I don't want to go down and talk to them, so I'm up here. But I might have to, so I might have to like stop and go do that. But I'm gonna get started, and we're still in 1980, as I've said. The last one from last time was like the kid getting hit by the sandcastle. So that's where we left off. I mean, the catapult from the sandcastle, and that's where we left off. And so the first one is like, you know, in Shrek, where Farquaad. See, and now I'm paranoid. Like, I want to check and see if it's actually recording. So I'm gonna do that. This is my. Alright, so I think it just like stops recording if you leave the app, which I guess makes sense. But I don't think I did that. So anyway, the first one is like Shrek. Like, you know, it's not Shrek, but like, you know, in Shrek, where he and Donkey get to the arena, and like where they play Bad Reputation, and he beats up all the knights. It's like that, and like Farquaad's way up high. So there's like a king that's way up high, and he's got a queen and a jester and like two monks. I think they're monks. In the original version of this, I was like debating what they were. And I eventually settled on monks. And they're looking at like a bunch of gladiator, like warrior people in the arena. Like Shrek. And the king is saying, and the last gladiator left alive will win the contest. But first, the egg toss. So, like, I don't want to explain that one. I think this is like my least favorite one so far, to be quite honest. The next one is an elephant. And I guess it's he's like at a bar, and he's drinking, and he says, it's no use, I drink, and I still can't forget. So like, elephants never forget, that's their thing. So like, he's trying to forget his sorrows. You know how life, you know how it be. The next one is like a submarine, but it's a toy submarine because it says Ace Toy Company on it, but there's a guy inside it. Because like in the Farside universe, that is like the far side of the universe. I don't know, but like, I guess it's like distorted because it's far away. But in that universe, there's little people inside all the toys, I guess. So he's saying, get ready. He's put the rubber ducky down, and now he's reaching for the bar of soap. So the submarine's in a bathtub, and it's worried about like the kid that's playing with it. The next one is Frankenstein, like Dr. Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. And Frankenstein's monster has like just returned from getting Dr. Frankenstein fast food from Al's Drive-In, And I think it should be drive-through, because I think drive-ins are just movie theaters that you drive into. Maybe he went to a drive-in and like bought food at it. Um, but Dr. Frankenstein is mad because the monster forgot the tartar sauce. And he's saying, what? No tartar sauce? You'd forget your own head if it wasn't bolted on. Because, like, Frankenstein has the bolts in his neck. The next one is a woman, like a housewife type deal, in a castle. And there's this knight walking through the door who I guess is like her son, or like maybe her husband if he's immature, but his armor's all banged up and like dented. And she's saying, so, you've been fighting again, and in your new suit too. This one is like, so in the foreground there's a guy in an easy chair reading a newspaper, something that happens a lot in the Farside. But he looks very unimpressed. But in the background, his wife, presumably, is like she's holding her entire body weight against the bathroom door, and an alligator is coming out of it, and she's trying to like attack it with a plunger while still keeping the door closed, and there's also like a wave coming out from under the door behind the alligator, and she's saying, curse this New York City sewer system, it's backing up again. This is where it stopped recording last time, and like I said, I'm paranoid, so I'm just gonna check. So, sorry. There's my yard again. Okay, we're still going. Is that good? Like, is that a good angle? Last time, I watched, like, a little while, and it was, like, cut off. Some of it. Not all of it, but, like, sometimes I, like, tried to use things to, like, demonstrate. Whatever. The next one is 3 lions. One of them's male, the other 2 are female, and the male lion is like walking away, and he looks kind of like smug. And the other 2, the female lions, the one that's talking looks unhappy, and she's saying, nice guy, except for that zebra breath. The next one is 2 phantoms, like 2 scary ghost things, and they're coming downstairs because they've heard a noise, but it turns out that it was just a cat knocking over a pot, and it says, thank God it was only a cat. So like in the Farside universe, scary ghosts are afraid of things, and in our universe we're afraid of them. So it makes you think. The next one is 2 cave people, and a pterodactyl is like grabbing a cow tied to a stake outside their cave. And the female cave person is saying, oh, Thorg, the new bird feeder is wonderful. So, like, they're feeding the pterodactyl because it's the prehistoric times. The next one is 3 mosquitoes, and one of them's really fat. And he's saying, head 5, I guess it's a she, but because they're all, the ones that suck blood are female. So she's saying, head 5 miles west until you come to a river. Then fly upstream about a mile until you come to the Sunshine Nudist Camp. The next one is like this woman who has been trapped, like an old woman has been trapped in a bird cage, and her bird, who I think is like from like he lives in the cage usually, and he's somehow tricked her, or like she's in the bird cage and he's escaped, or it's escaped, the bird, and she's shouting after the bird as it's flying away, you'll never get away with this. The next one is, there's this like old woman on the phone, and her TV is static, so like it's not working. She's calling her friend, and she doesn't realize that above her house are just a bunch of flying saucers, and that's what's causing the static, I guess. And she's saying, yeah, Sylvia, my set too, and in the middle of Laverne and Shirley. The next one is like U.S. cavalry officer and like Davy Crockett, and they're they're charging forward and they're saying, remember that place in Texas. So like they forgot what the Alamo was called, and the whole point is that remember the Alamo. The next one is a rhyme of the Ancient Mariner reference, in which two albatross are flying over a boat with no one on it, and they're saying, the curse of every albatross, that ship's been following us for days. The next one is two sharks, and they're just talking, and one of them is saying, say honey, didn't I meet you last night at the feeding frenzy? The next one is two conquistadors, and they've like found a snack bar soda fountain called Youth's Fountain and Snack Bar, but it's like YUTH, and so like, and in the caption, and they look mad. Actually, they look sort of like sweaty more than anything. But they're saying, when we get back, I'm gonna wring de Leon's neck. So like, Ponce de Leon told them to go look for the Fountain of Youth. And like, I think that I don't see why they're so upset. Because like, they found it. It's there. I feel like, as a conquistador in the 1500s, if they were like, this fountain makes you young forever, I would be like, okay, but I wouldn't expect to actually find it. And like, they found, it's just like, it's a guy at a snack bar in a uniform, like a soda fountain, and he's, I guess he's youth, but like, it might still make you young. They haven't approached yet. They're still in the bushes. So I think this is an overreaction from the conquistadors being angry. The next one is a man in bed with his wife, and he's just woken up because coconuts have fallen on him, as he has a giant, well, not like, he has a palm tree coming out of his head, like the top of his head. And he's saying, what the? Margaret, wake up. The bed's covered with coconuts. So he doesn't know about the palm tree yet. 'Cause I guess it grew in his sleep. The next one is, I don't like. I don't really want to describe it. It took me a really long time to describe it when I first recorded this. Like, I guess when I wasn't recording, my phone was off and I didn't know. But I was like describing this for like 20 minutes. It's just like this guy is fishing on a boat called Al's Charter, and Al, presumably, he looks in charge, is telling him to set the hook. I don't know what that means because I don't go fishing, but like, it's attached to a woman on the other side, like on the stern, and on the stern port side of the boat, and Al and the guy fishing are on the bow starboard side. So it's gone like under the boat, and it's hooked her and like pulling her into the water. And that's it. That's all it is. But that took me a really long time to get down the first time I did it. I'm glad that I've moved. I'm glad that I'm streamlining this a little. The next one is like King Arthur at the round table with all the knights. And he's mad at them, and he's saying, and that goes for Lancelot, Galahad, and the rest of you guys, no more sticking your gum under the table. So he doesn't like that they're sticking gum under the round table, because he cares about it a lot. That's not, like, unreasonable. The next one I'm pretty sure my band teacher in middle school had, like, hanging up in his office. I think Mr. Mulligan had this hanging up in his office. Like, it's like three little guys. I like this one, by the way. It's three little guys. One of them's got a bass, like a big one, and then one's got a saxophone and one's at a piano. And there's a man, and they're inside a man's car radio. and he has removed the radio cover to like look at them, and he's saying aha as if he suspected that like his radio was filled with little band people. I don't know. I like this one. I don't really know why, but that's what it is. The next one is at an art gallery, and it's this painting with a huge nose, and there's these two people there, and the woman is telling the man, "Gad, that's eerie. No matter where you stand, the nose seems to follow." The next one is two ants, and they're sitting on a mushroom, and it's sort of like philosophical, because they're looking up at the stars, and they're saying, "Just look at those stars tonight. Makes you feel sort of small and insignificant." And like the joke is that they're ants. And I guess that means they are small and insignificant, but like that's a valid point from the ants. I think that's a little unfair to the ants. But the next one is two cave persons. One is most likely the wife caveman. And she's sending the husband outside to this wall of ice filled with carcasses of prehistoric animals, and she's saying, "And while you're out there, bring in a couple of them frozen dinners." So he has to chisel the carcass out of the ice, and that's like their refrigerator because they're prehistoric. But the thing about this one is that both of them look really, really angry at each other. Like they've just had a domestic dispute or something, and it really doesn't need to be that way to still communicate the joke. The next one is a merry-go-round. And there's a corporal, two detectives, a photographer, and a dead guy on the ground. And one of the detectives is saying, "It's the attendant. He's been trampled." The next one is a bar. Okay, and like there's a bunch of like people who it looks like there's just been a huge fight in the bar. Everything's broken, like the bartender is dead, and there's just people on the ground, and there's this woman talking to a cop who's a corporal, and she's saying, so then this little sailor dude whips out this can of spinach, this crazy music starts playing, and we'll just look at this place. So like Popeye the sailor came into this bar and presumably had like one too many, and then had some spinach and just killed everyone in the bar. I think that's just the joke, is like Popeye destroyed this bar because he was drunk and angry. The next one is a bunch of chickens studying like a slideshow of humans, and one of them, like the professor, because he's got the glasses, is saying, "Now here's one of the mysteries of the universe. Which came first?" And it's a grown man and a baby, so it's like the chicken or the egg, but is it the grown man or the baby? I'm sorry, I'm still looking on. Okay, we're still going. Pretty cool. Next, this one I really like. This one is, so it's an exterminator named Al, like from Al's Charter, but this time it's Al's Rat Control, and he's at the door of like a client's house, and the door has been answered by a bunch of rats dressed as like a human, like they're pretending to be a human, and it says, "I'm sorry, we did call an exterminator, but we've changed our minds." So like these people had a rat problem, and then the rats killed them, and now the rats are wearing their clothes and pretending to be them. This one's one of my favorites I've seen so far. I like the way the rats look. I wish I could show you. The next one is a bunch of kangaroos, and they're hopping all in the same direction. And then there's one in the middle whose like stomach has burst open and there's like a spring coming out of it, so like his spring has malfunctioned, so he's running and all the other ones are hopping because he can't hop because of his broken spring. I hope he's okay. It looks very serious. The next one is two commentators at a basketball game, and they're saying, well, I guess that does it, folks. Number 26 is taking his ball and going home. The next one, oh, I remember this one. The next one is he's like a specifically Dutch kid. Because he's got like, he's wearing lederhosen, kinda. Like, I know those are like southern German type clothes. Like, Bavarians and Austrians, like the Dutch don't wear lederhosen, I don't think. But he's also got those Dutch clogs and like a weird hat, and he just looks Dutch. You can tell he's like fat and gross. And sorry, Dutch people. The Nether, like you can tell that it's the Netherlands also because it's like a seawall, and you know how the Netherlands are like, they're called the Low Countries because they're below sea level, and he's sticking his finger into the wall because there's a hole in it, which seems like a big problem. I don't know if he made the hole, but there's a hole in this seawall big enough to put your finger through. I feel like that would be leaking a lot of water and would be a major structural problem. But up above him, because he's below sea level, remember, this is the Netherlands. Two fish are talking, and they say, look down there, it's a worm. So, like, they're gonna bite his finger because they think that's a worm. But I think that's, like, not as big a problem as the hole in the wall. Also, this could have easily been done without him being specifically Dutch. It could have just been, like, a fish tank or something. Next we have this pilot, and you know how people, like, put notches on their guns for, like, how many people they've killed? And, like, pilots will, like, paint planes on, I think. This pilot has done that, so he shot down 4 planes because he has 4 paint planes on his plane. 4 planes on his plane, and then one of them is also Snoopy. Like, he's painted Snoopy on it, so he's shot Snoopy down. The dog. From Peanuts. I guess it's sort of like, he's like throwing shade at Peanuts. Because they're both, I don't know, probably not. This one is like a bunch of Vikings, and they've just killed a bunch of knights. And they're standing in like the field of all these dead bodies, and they're all in a huddle with their arms around each other. And they're saying 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? I kind of like that one, because it's like, I'm glad they're having a good time. The next one is this guy, he's standing at the top of a cliff and yelling hello, and he causes an avalanche. It's 2 panels, and in the first one he's yelling hello, and in the second one he's gone because he's fallen off the cliff. And he just says hello, like he's falling. The next one is really weird. The next one is like, there's these 2 parachuters. One of them has they're in the air, like they've jumped. And one of them's in the background. His parachute has like successfully deployed, and he's gonna be fine. But the one closest to the viewer has like pulled the string that opens the parachute, and where his like the bag where his parachute's supposed to come out of is filled with moths. Like a bunch of moths. Just, that's what comes out. So like he looks upset and like scared because like he doesn't have a parachute. It's understandable, but why is it filled with moths? Like moths. I don't get it. I don't know why. That's the thing. The next one is 2 hippos, and one of them is screaming, Albert! And like in the background there's a crocodile that's super fat and looks like it's about to explode, because like I guess it ate Albert, the hippo. The next one is two flowers. And I don't know if they're really big or if the man is small, but I think they're really big. They're like holding a man by his collar above the ground with one of their leaves, and they look really mean, like they're bullies or something, and they're saying, and now we're going to play She Loves Me Not. Okay, so like, you know in Shrek, when, second Shrek reference, when Fiona is like plucking the sunflower that Shrek left, I think Shrek leaves it there, and she's like, I tell him not, and like she's trying to figure out whether or not she should tell Shrek that she turns into an ogre every night, and then like the last one is I tell him, and she's really excited and she runs out, but then it's like sad because Shrek misheard her and Donkey the night before, so like he's mad and he went and got Farquaad. It's like that. So they're gonna do that petal plucking thing with the guy. I don't know if they're gonna strip him because he's wearing a tie and like he's wearing like multiple layers. So like I think it's implied that they're just gonna like take off all his clothes to embarrass him or something. But like they could also be ripping off his limbs. That's also a possibility because they are giant evil flowers. The next one is really scary. It's a guy in a street cleaner, and I don't think street cleaners actually have this, but on the front of his street cleaner, there's like a huge, like really powerful hose spraying water, and he's driving down the sidewalk, like he's driving next to the sidewalk, but the water is pointed towards the sidewalk so it can hit people on the sidewalk, and he's chasing a jogger, and he has like this maniacal evil smile, like he's gonna kill the jogger with his street cleaner, and the jogger is running away from him, and that's just all it is. He's just like this crazy street cleaner that's trying to kill this jogger. The next one is, okay, this is like around where my phone stopped, so we're doing good. It is still recording, right? Okay, good. The next one is, like, you know the lunar lander? It's a lunar lander. It's like two astronauts on the moon, and it says USA on it again. And they're like hiding behind a crater because there's an alien that like looks like the lunar lander, and it's like got a heart coming out of it, and it looks like really horny. So I guess it's gonna like fuck the lunar lander. And I think that's all it is. Like, and they're scared. The next one is two archaeologists, and they found a skull and like a bunch of pots and animal bones. And there's also a mailbox that they've dug up that says Fred and Wilma. So like they've discovered the Flintstones' fossilized remains, I think. Well, yeah, that's what it is. The next one is this old, mean-looking mariner man, like a sea captain or something, and he's going on a kid's ride that's like little boats that just go around a track filled with water, like at an amusement park, and it's all kids there, and it's called Little Skipper, and he's just like old and scary, and I think that's all. I don't think he's gonna do anything bad. The next one is a bunch of knights, and they're riding their horses through a storm, and they're all holding lances, but like to carry the lances they're holding them upright, and one of them is the lance is being struck by lightning. The next one is I don't get. The next one is Noah and like some animals on top of his ark, but it's like really tipping towards the side. I think it's still in the water. It doesn't look like it is, but I think it's just like poorly drawn. But I think it's supposed to still be in the water. And Noah and all the animals look worried, and it's like really tilted to the side, and he's saying, "Blast, the elephants are sick again." So I don't know if like maybe like did the elephants fall? Or did they like sneeze? I don't know what it's implying. But the sick elephants have caused the ark to tip significantly. And all of its passengers are worried. This one is 3 sleeping bags out in the woods, like 3 people going camping, and 2 of them are just humans, but one of them is like a butterfly coming out of the sleeping bag, like it's a cocoon. So like I guess a guy went into his sleeping bag and turned into a butterfly. This one is a sign that says danger quicksand, and then like they didn't finish the D because we see a baseball cap that says Ace Sign Company floating on top of the quicksand. So like the guy, the sign man, came to make the sign warning people about quicksand, but he fell, he sunk. The next one is a dog driving a car and a man sticking his head out the window, and like his tongue is flapping in the breeze. So it's just like a subversion of the dog sticking its head out the window stereotype. Or like, I don't know if that's a stereotype. The next one is the turtle in the hair from the story, and they're at a line that says start, like they're about to start their race, but they've been flattened, and because they've just been run over by a moving truck, and like the other woodland animals gathered to watch the race look worried. So it's basically just like the tortoise and the hare were about to start their race, and then they got run over by a truck, and that's it. The next one is a guillotine, and this painter has just painted a clown face. Like, you know when you go to like a museum or like I don't know, or like a playground, I guess, where there's like the board, and it'll be like it has a face hole cut in, and you like put your face into it, so you look like the thing, and then like you take a picture, and it's stupid and dumb, and like tourists do it, but like this painter has painted a clown onto the guillotine, so like where you stick your head into when it's about to get cut off, you'll look like a clown. And the king is there, and he says, I like it, which is a little strange, because I feel like the king's gonna be the one who gets his head cut off by the guillotine, because like the guillotine came about very specifically to like cut kings' heads off, and like I don't like the king. I don't know, it's stupid. The next one is in hell, and Satan is there, and he's like watching all the new people come into hell, like all the newly dead sinners, and he's smiling because he's standing next to a sign that says today is the first day of the rest of your life. The next one is there's in the foreground, there's a bunch of soldiers, all of them corporals. Gary Larson really likes the rank of corporal. All of them have corporal stripes, and they're like facing down these approaching protesters. Like, I guess they're like, I don't know, they're like anti-war activists or something. And in the middle of both of them is an ice cream truck. And that's it. The next page is 2 letters. I'm not gonna read them, but like I want to see what they're about. Oh, it's someone who like the first person to like sell the Farside to newspaper editors. Um, yeah, it's just like talking about how Gary Larson is really weird, and he is. So like that, yeah. The next one is a vampire and his son, and the vampire, his son is also a vampire, and he's about to. The son is like gonna bite an old man, and the father vampire says, "No, no, Wendell, you can't get blood out of a turnip." That's mean. The next one is a woman covered in like lumps all over her face, and she's at like a fancy restaurant on a date with a porcupine, and she's saying, "Look, I just don't feel the relationship is working out." So I guess like she's sticking her face into the porcupine's back, or like I don't know, maybe like I could see that, yeah. Like if you like analingus, I guess could do that to you. But like I feel like if she's just kissing the porcupine, that wouldn't happen. So maybe, but anyway, it's not working out. But that the next one is a okay. The next one is like this like guy in a suit, like he's a businessman. He's got a cigar and he's at his desk in like a skyscraper, and he's got a big pencil, like a giant pencil, hanging over him. And there's like this man in tattered clothes sitting in front of him who's getting like interviewed, and he's saying, and the boss is saying, "So, you want to sell our pencils, do you?" I don't really get it. The next one is a man on a therapy. Oh, the next is a man laying on top of another man on a therapist's couch, and like the therapist is there and he's got his notepad, and the man is saying, "It's quite strange, almost like I'm being followed." So he is being followed. He's being followed by the man that he's laying on top of. The next one is someone in an apartment who has just bought a trampoline and just assembled it, and like on the first jump they got their head stuck in the ceiling. The next one is a man at the library, and he has tipped over the self-help book shelf, like all the self-help books. The next one is a corporal, and they're like facing, I guess it's like World War One, because he's in a trench with another guy, and they're facing people on the opposite side in a trench, and they kind of look like they're wearing style helms, so like it's World War One. And he says, "This time, Johnson, just pull the pin, throw the grenade, and refrain from yelling heads," because he's saying it to a guy with a grenade, who I guess is dumb. The next one is at like a ballroom kind of. There's like a big brass band playing, and there's all these couples dancing, and there's a couple entering, and they both have giant feet, and like their feet are larger than they are. And they're entering the dance floor, and there's a woman dancing with someone, and she's saying, "Gad, clear the dance floor, here come the Nelsons again." Alright, let me check if it's still recording, because I'm crazy. Yay. Okay, the next one The next one is Amelia Earhart, and it's like the people waiting for her to finish, because like she doesn't complete her journey, and like she her plane crashed somewhere in the Pacific, but they got a banner that says "Welcome Amelia," and they all have binoculars, so they're like they've been there a while. They're waiting to see if she's gonna come, and someone is saying, "Well, I'm just starting to worry about the roast in the oven. That's all." It's also not clear who's saying that. None of their mouths are open. The next one is Captain Ahab at a bar with a man who's wearing a shirt that says "Save the Whales." And the man in the "Save the Whales" t-shirt is saying, "Oh sure, white whales? We've got plenty of them." I don't really get it. I don't know why they'd have a lot of white whales. And Ahab's only looking for a specific one, so that he's not going to be like happy. And like he has a harpoon with him. I feel like the "Save the Whales" guy should know. The next one is two sunbathers at the beach, and one of them has a frisbee in his mouth. And there's a man who has approached them, and he's saying, "Excuse me, but I believe that's my frisbee." Next we have two cartoonists showing off their work. No, two artists they're showing off their work. One of them has like, in like the ceiling of the Sistine, it's Michelangelo in the comic. So it's Michelangelo is there, and he's holding the picture of like Adam touching God's finger. You know that like weird, they're both naked, like he's holding that, and then there's a guy next to him who has just like drawn a bunch of stick figures, and they're both auditioning. They're both showing their portfolios to the people who are gonna build the Sistine Chapel. And the caption is, "I'm sorry, Mr. Finucci, but we've decided to award the ceiling project to Michelangelo." But the thing about this is they're all wearing modern clothes. The two guys that are like interviewing them are wearing suits, like modern business suits. And they're at a desk with like a chair in an office. So I don't know what's going on here. This is not like chronologically accurate. Then we have two zookeepers, and they're walking away from a gorilla, and the gorilla has a tire, and it looks really mad. And one of the zookeepers, his face is covered in tire treads, and he's just been hit by the tire, and he says, "Quick, powerful, and totally unpredictable. That's our Bobo." So like they were bringing it food and it hit them with the tire. So now they're leaving. This one is caveman related again. It's a cave thing on a show called Hello America, and the two hosts are saying, "And so after being frozen in ice for almost 50,000 years, we'll ask our friend here what dramatic changes he's noticed." Next, there's a guy, it's the president. So it's the president of the United States, and he's in the Oval Office, and he's spinning around in his chair, and there's another guy there, and he's saying, "I'm afraid." It looks kind of like FDR, but I don't know. And then there's a guy there that's saying, "I'm afraid you'll have to do better than that, sir. The former president could spin 26 times before stopping." The next one is a guy in a dark room holding a picture, and he's saying, "I've done it, the first real evidence of a UFO, and with my own camera, in my own dark room, and in my own," and like his wife, or his mom, or someone, or a woman, an older woman that he lives with, is opening the door of his dark room to bring him food. So like, she's gonna ruin the UFO picture because she let light into the dark room. The next one is a bird that has just sneezed, and there's two worms underneath the bird. Like, the bird is above ground, and then there's two worms underground, and one of the worms looks up at the bird and says Gesundheit. The next one is a woman tied to train tracks, and like the little engine that could is coming up the hill, and he's saying, "I think I can, I think I can." So like the little engine that could is gonna kill this woman tied to the train tracks. The next one is a caveman again, and he's throwing food to a bunch of pterodactyls. So like, it's like a riff on people sitting on park benches feeding birds, but like, he's a caveman, so they're pterodactyls. Caveman. The next one is the Lone Ranger and Tonto, and they're buying masks, because like, you know how the Lone Ranger has a mask? They're at a mask store, and he's wearing those like Groucho Marx glasses with the big nose, and Tonto is holding like the famous Lone Ranger mask, and he's saying, "Not bad, Kemosabe, but this one little better maybe." That's offensive, but yeah. The next one is a guy in a tree, and then there's three bears, and like two of them are cubs, and then there's a elder bear, like the mom, I suppose, and she's shaking the tree, and she's saying, "Okay, settle down. So who wants dark meat and who wants white?" So they're gonna shake this man out of the tree and kill him and eat him. The next one is a witch or a wizard or something. I can't tell the gender. Doesn't matter. Outside a castle, and they've just turned the prince, and they've tried to turn the prince into a frog, but got stuck halfway. So it's like half prince, half frog. So the magic person is like looking at their wand suspiciously and saying, "Gad, I gotta get this thing in for a tune-up." So like, the wand is broken. We're in September. That's cool. Just checking. Okay, so a man is robbing a bank. I don't understand this one, but I think I just don't know like about stockings. So he's robbing a bank, and he's wearing like a nylon stocking over his head, and he's saying, and the bank teller is whispering to the other bank teller while they're giving him the money, "God, Harriet, check out the run in his nylon." So like, I don't get it. I'm sure someone else will get it, but like, I don't know. The next one is a fish, like a mean fish in a bowl, and it has a cat's hand mounted on the side like a trophy, and it looks happy, but also mean. The next one has Una in it. Remember Una? You don't remember. No one's watching this, but like, if you are, remember Una from the first video? She wrote for a good time called Una. Well, in this one, there's a salesman, a fire salesman, because it's prehistoric. He's a caveman selling fire door to door. And a caveman has answered his cave door. It doesn't have a door, it's a cave, but he's like come to the cave entrance to see the salesman. And he's shouting into the cave, "Hey Una, did you order some of this stuff?" So like Una is with a partner now, and she has ordered fire to light from like a company. I hope Una comes back later. This one is a little boy at his grandma's house, and he's watching TV, and he looks bored, and she's knitting, and she's looking out the window, and there's an old man caught in a tree, like inside the tree. His leg and his head and his arm are sticking out, and there's squirrels all around him, and she's saying, "Andrew, go out and get your grandfather. The squirrels have got him again." The next one is two dogs in heaven. Like they have wings and halos, and they're sitting on a cloud. And one of them looks really pissed. And he's saying, "For 12 perfect years I was a car chaser. Pontiacs, Fords, Chryslers. I took them all on. And yesterday my stupid owner backs over me in the driveway." I don't know. Probably would have died chasing cars anyway. 12 years isn't bad for a dog. My dog is 70. Maybe I'll have him on the show. He won't come in the attic though. He's 10, but like he's 70. The next one is a group of people in a theater being shown a slideshow, and on the slideshow is two frogs on a lily pad, and their eyes are blurred or like blacked out. And the man is saying, "And now, as you will observe, the male Bufo Boreas begins his courtship display as the female responds to the vocal stimulus." So I guess like it's inappropriate because the frogs are mating. I don't know. The next one looks very similar to that ballet cowboy from the last video. And there's two, and he's like floating he's hovering above the ground, like 6 feet above the ground, and he's like blowing into this town. And there's these two guys on the porch, and they're saying, "Looks like some drifter coming into town." I'm sorry, I don't know what this one is. This one could go either way. Okay, so there's two vultures, and they're in the desert, and there's like a guy on the ground who like is dead, but his body is an outline. And the vultures are saying, "You moron, I told you it was only a mirage." So like I guess he's not real, but he looks like a man. I guess it's just not real. I don't know. I don't get it. That one's not very well done. This one is two like jungle explorers. One of them's got a gun, and one of them's just been hit by a pie on a stick, like he's triggered a trap. And the one with the rifle is saying, "Pie trap, we're in Zabutu country, alright." So like the Zabutus have pie-based traps around their land. The next is a bunch of insects and bugs in a movie theater. And they're watching a movie called Return of the Killer Windshield. Because they're bugs. The next one is a bunch of dead US soldiers, and they've been killed by natives, like Plains natives. And one of the tribes people is going around to like make sure they're dead, and he takes a helmet off one that he sees is alive. I mean a hat off a soldier that he sees is still alive, and it's one of those like gag arrows that like sort of like looks like there's an arrow in your head, but there actually isn't. He's wearing one of those, and he looks nervous because he knows like they're gonna kill him now, and the native is saying nice try. The next one is really thin, like twiggy people that are super tall and really thin, and they're looking out the window at their new neighbors who are really short and really round and fat. They even have a round, fat dog. And they're saying, well, there goes the neighborhood. The next one is an elephant in an easy chair. And he's watching TV. He looks mad. And his wife is there. And she's saying, and his wife is human. And she's saying, Mother was right. I never should have married outside my species. So I guess life is tough with this elephant. The next one is like this, like a slave galley, and all the rowers are rowing, and one of them's like scrawny and small, and he's raising his hand to like the guy with the whip, and he's saying, "Yoo-hoo, oh yoo-hoo, I think I'm getting a blister." The next one is a werewolf on a therapist's couch, and he's saying, I can't take this curse any longer. Every sunrise I change into this hairless, frail little man who couldn't hurt a fly. So like he likes being a werewolf and doesn't want to change back into a man. Like he considers his werewolf form to be his natural form. The next one is cave people again. It's a cave couple is visiting another cave couple. And the couple, like who the other ones are visiting, the wife is saying, Zag and Thana, come on in and act uncivilized. I don't know what that means. I don't get it. I haven't been getting a lot of these. The roof of my mouth is really itchy. It sucks. Because like I'm trying to itch it with my tongue, but like that does nothing. And I don't want to like do this because like it won't work. No. Last night I had a piece of popcorn because I went to the movies. And last night I had like a piece of popcorn stuck. Also, like movies suck. I don't like going to them. They're just really expensive. Anyway, I got popcorn. I went with my friend, and I was like, I have popcorn in between my teeth, and it was there for like 2 days. It was crazy. I just got it out. I mean, this wasn't, I don't know why I said last night. This was like, I don't really remember what I was talking about. But anyway, I had the roof of my mouth is really itchy. The next one is 2 fish in a bowl. And there's a dead fish skeleton on the ground below them. And they can't see it. And one of the fish is telling the other fish, I guess he made it. It's been more than a week since he went over the wall. So like one of the fish jumped out of the bowl and then just died on the floor. And the other fish think he's okay. The next one, what was the one on my birthday? The one on my birthday was the mean fish with the cat hand on his wall. I'll tell you the ones that are on my birthday because they're special, because I'm special. This one is a bunch of aliens walking on the street, and they all look different. And two of them have just met each other on the street, and he's saying, "Hey Zoran, what's happening? Give me 6 instead of give me 5," because he's an alien, so he has 6 fingers. I guess 5 fingers because the thumb isn't a finger or whatever. This one is 2 vultures again, and there's like a man about to die. I guess this one's real. This is a real person. And there's like a little pool of water. And the vultures know it's there, but one of them is saying, "We're in luck, I don't think he sees it." So like they just want him to die so they can eat him. And they don't want him to find the water because then he'll live longer. The next one is a man has opened a sarcophagus and there's a mummy inside, but it has on top of its head is tied into a bow. That's all. The next one is a man reading the classifieds, and he looks really weird, and he got like stitches, and he's hunched over. He looks like Igor, and his wife also looks like an Igor, like a hunched person. She's in the background. But he's reading the classifieds. He also has a dog that looks like him, and he's saying, "Hey, here's one mad scientist needs assistance." So like he is Igor, and he's looking for work, and he just goes and helps mad scientists. Well, I remember this one. I don't like this one. It's always made me uncomfortable. But it's 2 polar bears, but they're like really, really big. Like they're like 20 feet tall. And they've opened the top of an igloo and have just eaten the person inside. And one of them is saying, "Oh hey, I just love these things. Crunchy on the outside and a chewy center." And like that's disgusting and scary. We're in October now of 1980. Then this one is a bunch of vultures, and I guess they're eating a person, and one of them has a wallet in his mouth, and one of them is saying, "You fool, you can't eat that, it's a wallet." The next one is a couple at the zoo, and there's a sign that says "Do not feed the animals," and like the man is being eaten by an alligator, and his wife is looking away, and she's saying, "You're embarrassing me, Warren." So not a supportive relationship. I hope Warren finds someone better if he survives, and I don't think he will, because like his head's all the way inside. The next one is a bunch of animals at a pond, and they're all drinking. And one of the water buffaloes is asking another water buffalo if they come here often. So he's like hitting on the other water buffalo at the pond. This one is 2 astronauts, and they're looking out the window at the Earth from space, but the Earth is just a balloon. So I guess they're like the first astronauts to leave the balloon Earth. And they're saying, "Listen, I think we better keep this quiet." So I guess they don't want anyone to know about the balloon nature of the Earth, so they don't get scared. People are already scared. It'd be fine. I wouldn't care. If they were like, "The Earth is a balloon, it could pop," I would be like, "I don't give a shit." Is this still recording? Is it? You gotta like give me a heads up, because okay. Oh, it's still going. Alright, good. Hope it doesn't die. This one is two for once it's not a corporal, but it's 2 police officers, and they're about to like flip the switch on the electric chair. Oh, I guess they already have. but it didn't work. And there's a prisoner, and he's like sweating because he's really nervous. He's about to be killed by electrocution, not an electrician. And the cops have pulled the switch, and it didn't work. And one of the cops is telling the other cop, the contact points must be dirty. Just click it up and down a few times. So like they're prolonging his misery unintentionally. The next one is Abraham Lincoln. And behind him is like a train engineer. And Abe's trying to write. And the train man is helping him write. It does not have to be a train engineer. He's saying, well, Mr. President, let's see, carry the 1, take away 3, carry the 2, that would be 407 years ago. So he's helping him write the Gettysburg Address, but like, I don't know why he's specifically a train engineer. I guess he needs a job, but like he could just be wearing like an old-fashioned suit and be one of Lincoln's aides. He also is holding a lantern. This one is Tarzan. It's Tarzan outside his house, like his tree house, with a normal woman. Like he's wearing like a skirt made of a leopard skin, but the woman is in a dress and she has like a purse and shoes. So she's like from normal human society, but the window of his house, the inside his house is, I guess it's not his house, it's like his parents' house, but inside there's a gorilla, because like he was raised by apes, and like they're about to go in, so he says, my folks are a little different, just ignore them if they start looking through your hair for fleas and things. So she doesn't know that his parents are apes yet. This one is a mama bird, a mother bird, feeding a worm to 2 babies. But like they don't want to eat it. And one of them is saying, we better eat it or we'll get that old lecture again about the birds starving in Asia. This one is like Washington crossing the Delaware. But they're in a motorboat that says Sid's Rentals on the side, and there's a guy in a baseball hat driving them. So I guess like they rented a boat to cross the Delaware River. This one, I don't get it. I don't get this one. So there's like a weird looking guy in a chameleon, in a roadside stand selling chameleons. And there's a guy there with his son, and he's saying, well, gosh, Mr. Turner, I remember you selling these things 30 years ago. So I guess the joke is just he's been selling chameleons for a long time. This one is about Genghis Khan. I guess Chinggis Khan, if we want to get pronunciation right. But it's in a classroom, and like a normal classroom, but there's a woman there, and like it feels a little offensive because they all have like their eyes are just slants to demonstrate that they're Asian. And there's like a teacher at the desk, and she's got like the things in her hair to show that she is Asian, and she's talking to Genghis Khan's mom, who has a conical hat, you know, they have, like Asian farmers have, and then in the corner is a little boy in overalls with his arms crossed. He looks upset. He's being like punished. And the teacher is saying, in addition, Mrs. Khan, little Genghis disrupts the class, fights with other children and completely lacks any leadership ability. I don't know why she would mention his leadership ability. I guess like Gary wanted to make this comic and then just couldn't think of a joke for it. I think that's what happened. He was like, I want to do something about Genghis Khan being in trouble at school. This one is an old woman. I guess she's like a kid's mom, but I don't know. No, she's a landlady. I'm positive that's what it is. Like this guy's landlady is knocking on his door and yelling through the door, and she's saying, "Young man, if you've got a pet in there," because like there's a 27 above the door, so I think it's an apartment. That's why I think she's and there's like a window on top of the door, which is important because there's a trunk, like an elephant's trunk coming out of it. So he does have a pet in there, and it's an elephant. Next we have like a dungeon, and like the torturer guy is showing his parents around. Like he's showing his parents how he like tortures people, and he's saying, now over here, mom and dad, is what we call the rack, and I'll show you how it works. So he's gonna like torture this guy that's tied to the rack to show his parents what he does. This one is a dog testifying in a court, and like I guess he's like betraying his owner, because like he's squealing on him, because the guy, I guess, who's the defendant, is saying, I could have guessed, my friends all warned me that this breed will sometimes turn on you. This one is a bunch of spiders. I mean, there's just two spiders, and they're on a web, and part of the web has snapped and is like broken. And one of the spiders is telling the other spider, who looks very worried, don't take it so hard. Everyone's got a story about the one that got away. Oh, so like he caught a big fly or something, and it got away because it was too big. And the spider is sad because he wanted to eat it. This one is two guys in the desert, and they found Gary Larson really likes like people being lost in the desert. That's another big thing. There's two guys with tattered clothes, and they've come a really long way, and they find a water fountain in the middle of the desert, and one of them is saying, hey, come on, don't put your mouth on it. This one is monsters destroying a city, and there's a plane flying over them. I guess that's not important. It's two monsters destroying a city. And one of the monsters is saying to the other monster, hey, is that you, Dave? Small world. So like they both decided to destroy a city, and they know each other. The next one is some snakes. It's like two snake parents are answering the door for a snake, like a snake couple in their house, and they have two little snakes, like babies, and the visiting snake, one of the visiting snakes, is saying, oh my goodness, aren't the children getting long instead of tall, because they're snakes. The next one is Satan in the back of a taxi, and he has just told the driver to drive him to hell, because the driver is saying, hey buddy, nobody tells me to go there, and gets away with it, so like there's been a misunderstanding. The next one is a knight. He's eating dinner with his wife, and he's still wearing his armor. Oh, I guess it's Alexander the Great. So Alexander the Great is with his wife, and they're eating a turkey. And she's saying, and another thing, I want you to be more assertive. I'm tired of everyone calling you Alexander the Pretty Good. So I guess this is like if Alexander lived in the 1300s and wasn't as impressive. This one is another werewolf one, in which it's like an old man, and he's a werewolf, and there's a full moon, and his wife, he's woken his wife up, and because he's getting out of bed, and she's mad, and she's saying, well, I think I just been putting up with this silly curse of yours long enough. So like, he's been a werewolf for their entire married life, and she's getting sick of it. This one is a vampire at a party, and like a woman is flirting with him, and there's these two women in the foreground gossiping, and they're saying, well, it looks like Sylvia has latched onto another fly-by-night boyfriend. This one is to like a man and a woman in a raft, and they're being visited by another man and a woman in a raft, and they're like wearing tattered clothes, and they're out in the middle of the ocean, and they're saying, Gad, here comes those pesky Andersons again, probably want to borrow a cup of water. So like, I guess they all just live out in the ocean. This one, you know how ostriches stick their head in the ground, like Pliny the Elder? Is that how you pronounce it? And he said that ostriches stick their head in the sand, and it's not true, but in this comic it is. And an ostrich has stuck its head in the sand, and the lion is like looking into the hole where its head is. There's a lion, and saying, I see you. This one is another snake one. A man has brought his snake to the vet because it's too straight, like it's like a cane. And he's saying, and the vet is saying, just keep him calm for a couple of days. He's got lock body. Okay, good. Wait, what? Sorry, never mind, I was looking at, no, never mind, you don't care. This one is a moose. I looked up the plural of moose, it's moose. It's a moose in the woods, and he's sitting on a stump, and like, surrounded by woodland creatures, and he's doing impressions. So he's saying, wait, here's another one. The screams of a man lost in the woods. So he's impersonating a man dying in the woods. Or just lost. The next one is 3 woodpeckers. 2 of them are children. One of them is like the mom. And she's saying, I don't know where your father is tonight. No doubt out banging his head against some tree. Maybe that's like an innuendo. Maybe not. This one is 2 knights around a fire, and they're roasting marshmallows. And the bag of marshmallows says Joan of Arc marshmallows. The marshmallows are on the tips of their swords. I guess that's the joke. Is that like swords are pointy? I don't know. It's not very good. I don't like Gary's knight stuff. Like, all his medieval material is very low quality. This one is 2 sailors, and they've just pulled up their anchor, and it's all tangled, and it says, listen, and one of them is saying, listen, Wadsworth, as far as I'm concerned, we can just go anchor somewhere else. I don't get it. This This is another one of those ones where like the people are about to die and they don't know it yet. It's like a dark room, so you can just see people's eyes, and but in the top left there's like a something with three eyes and giant teeth, and the one person is looking at the other people and saying, well, since the elevator's power is dead, why don't we all just introduce ourselves? So they're in an elevator with a giant monster and it's about to kill them. This one is like a guy, and he has an accordion and a sign that says Chi Chi the dancing monkey. So he is like a dancing monkey that dances to his accordion music. And there's a big eagle shadow on the ground, and you can see Chi Chi like being taken away by the eagle. This one is a man who has just killed two people in his house with a gun, and his wife is yelling at him, and she says, that settles it, Carl. From now on, you're getting only decaffeinated coffee. So I guess when Carl drinks caffeine, he kills people. And like this has happened before. This one is a submarine, and it has a fishing rod attached to it. So like someone accidentally caught a submarine. This one is a totem pole, and there's a Native American man sitting in front of it, and it's like making faces at him because it's like a bunch of stacked animal faces, and then when he turns around they stop. This one is like two people on a road trip. No. Two people moving into the city. And they're really small. And they're at a parking meter, but the parking meter is too tall for them. And they're saying, well, we both knew there would be some adjustments moving from a small town to a big city. Oh, so they're from a place that's like literally a small town, like with small houses and people, and they've moved to a big city where things are big. Because the Farside is a crazy place. This one is three fish. One of them has arms and one of them is just like crawling onto land using his fins. And he's saying, and the other two are just watching him. And he's saying, one small step for a fish, one giant leap for fish kind. This one is three explorers like going through the Amazon, and they're walking in the river holding their stuff above their heads, and there's a bunch of piranhas, and one of the piranhas is telling the other piranhas, he says, just nibble it first, but when you hear them yell piranha, go for it. This one is Dr. Frankenstein again, and I guess this is like an alternate, so like, you know, in like the book, like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where the monster wants Dr. Frankenstein to make him a wife, and Dr. Frankenstein refuses to do it. But in this, he has made him a wife. So this is like an alternate timeline. And Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein's monster's wife do not like each other, and Dr. Frankenstein is saying, come on now, you two were made for each other. So like, they're not getting along, but he made them for each other. This one is a dog couple, like, leaving the house of another dog couple, and the dog couple they're leaving look really angry, and the dog that's leaving, the wife dog is saying to the husband dog, one of the nicest evenings I've ever spent at the Wilsons, and you had to go and do that on the rug. So like, he's a dog, and he like shit on their rug, and they were mad. This one is a scarecrow. It's an alien. And he's having another alien take his picture next to a scarecrow. That's all. This one is General Custer. And he's talking to, well, his Native American guide is reading smoke signals for him. You know, like General Custer gets killed at the Battle of Little Bighorn by like the Sioux, I think, or maybe like the Comanche. And then his native guide is reading smoke signals and saying, "Excuse me, General Custer, sir, but smoke signals say, ready or not, here we come." Custer also has corporal stripes, which is just not accurate. I think Gary Larson just thinks that, like, all military people are all military and police figures are corporals. Like, Custer wasn't a corporal, he was a general. It says it in the comic. But he has corporal stripes. He's not a corporal. And the guy next to him has them. So I don't know what Gary Larson's deal is. I think he just doesn't know. This one is a woman vacuuming, but it's from the perspective of ants. And they're running away from a vacuum. And one of the ants is yelling, "Look out, it's a black hole." This one is a bug. And it's saying, "Come on out, I think they're through." And, like, the World War III has just ended. And, like, there's mushroom clouds and everything is destroyed. So, like, a nuclear holocaust has occurred and now the bugs can take over. This one is a little boy building a snowman, and the snowman's head is huge. And we can see into his house, and his parents have giant heads. So he doesn't, but his parents do. So I guess he just thinks that, like, people have giant heads. This one is a conductor having a bad dream that his orchestra will, like, embarrass him and be bad at playing. This one is a shark spitting out scuba equipment, so it's eaten a scuba diver and is spitting out the equipment. I like that they're getting less complicated. They're a lot easier to describe. This one is like the shootout at the OK Corral is about to start. Wait, I don't know. And like one of them is saying, "Hey, look, guys, maybe we got the wrong address." Oh, he's nervous. This one is a matador. He's like being killed by the bull, and a tourist is standing up and saying "Ole" because he doesn't know what's going on, and all the people they're all wearing sombreros. So I guess it's like Mexico. But I don't know if they have bullfights in Mexico. Or like extensive ones. But they're mad at him. This one is a squid. A woman and her husband have just... This woman has has like the kraken on her fishing line that she's caught. And her husband isn't looking. And she's saying, "Oh, Sydney, look, I wasn't snagged on the bottom." This one is a bunch of mice, and they're carrying like a mouse dressed like very ceremoniously towards a mouse trap, and they're like bowing down, and the mouse looks really scared. So I guess they're just gonna like kill this mouse, but like he's important. Like, you know, in Pirates, because I'm recording like hour-long videos on it. So that's understandable, but it got cut off. I didn't read very much. You didn't miss much. Like the mice, you know, in like Pirates of the Caribbean 2, when Jack is with the cannibals, I think they're called the Pelagostos, but they like think he's a god and they have to eat him. Like they have to eat him to make sure his godness escapes. I don't know, but I think that's what's happening to this mouse. The next one is a stork with a test tube in a blanket, like a test tube baby, I think. The next one is two clams. One's a woman, and she's not in her shell. And there's like another clam looking at her, because she's like naked, I guess, and he's just like a perv. And that's it. And that's how far I got before realizing it wasn't recording anymore. So that's pretty good. This one is a frog. This is another one where someone's about to die. The frog, or I guess not, but there's these two guys hunting frogs, and one of them has found one, and he's shining a flashlight in his eye, and he's saying, "See, Frank, keep the light in their eyes, and you can bag them without any trouble at all." And there's a light being shined in Frank's eyes from the sky, so that's not good. This one is like two cows, and they're in a barn, and the farmer is assembling a robot called Milko Man, who I guess milks them, and the cows are saying, "I don't like the looks of this," because they don't want to be milked by Milko Man. This one is two turkeys, and one of them's sitting reading a newspaper, and the headline is "Axe Murders on Rise Again." This one is three snakes, and like, you know, the fake nut jar where you like, or like the fake, it's like a fake jar of food, and when you open it, like snakes pop out. It's like a gag thing, but the snakes have done that, and like and usually like a snake comes out. So this time it's subverted because like a long thin guy comes out of it and scares a snake. This one is a water skier in an underwater minefield, like in Finding Nemo, you know, like the World War II mines scene. And the boat towing him on skis has been destroyed by one of the mines. So he's just stranded in the minefield. This one is a bunch of scientists, and one of them is like doing a bunch of theorems, and he's like really into it, and they're all cheering him on, and they're saying, "Go for it, Sydney, you've got it, good hands, don't choke." So they're doing math, and like he's in like a spark of genius mode. I don't know. We're in December, by the way, so we're almost done. This one is a dolphin and a killer whale, and a man is like holding a fish up so they can jump up and grab it, and the orca is telling the dolphin, "The herring's nothing, I'm going for the whole schmear," so like he's gonna eat the guy too. This one is a man who was painting a portrait of someone, and like halfway through the painting, the man started to turn into a werewolf, and not the man he was painting a portrait of started to turn into a werewolf, and then he like killed him. So we just see the painting and the man who has been attacked, but we don't see the werewolf because the window's open and he's escaped to go like do werewolf stuff. Alright, is this still going? Good, okay. Low battery, folks. Low battery. I finish this fast. This one is a lumberjack, and there's beavers looking at him, and they look mad, and he's a chainsaw, And they're saying, here he comes, and he's carrying the thunder tooth. So the thunder tooth is the chainsaw. This one is a guy, like a sweaty butterfly catcher and his friend, and they've just caught a nice looking butterfly. He's saying, an excellent specimen, the symbol of beauty, innocence, and fragile life. Hand me the jar of ether. So I guess like they're gonna kill the butterfly with the ether, or maybe they're just like addicts and he wants some ether. This one is lemmings running into the water. One of them has an inner tube, so I guess he's not gonna die. The other ones are, so he'll be alone. This one is 2 tribes people standing in front of us, sitting on the steps of like a big monster statue. And then they say, 12 sacrifices already this week. Thank Goran, it's Friday. This one is a costume shop, and like there's like all people in a horse costume trying to get through the door, but they've like fallen all over themselves and it's not going well. And there's 2 guys at the counter and they're saying, uh-oh, looks like the zipper is stuck on that thing again. So like they can't get out of the horse costume, I guess. This one is 2 rabbits doing shadow puppets of humans. That's it. This one's sad. Oh, this one's like a snake at the grave of a snake, and it's like the joke is that the burial plot is really long because it's a snake, but it's like a living snake is visiting it, and the snake is crying and holding a flower that it like brought to the grave, and there's flowers on the grave. It's sad. This one's really depressing. This one is a guy in a whaleboat, and he thinks he's just hit a whale, but it's actually a giant boot. So I don't know about that one. I'm glad this is almost done. This one is like a health food store, and like it's got signs everywhere that says like earthy goods, all organic, natural products, but the person running it is like a plant person, and they got like leaves growing out of them. This one is a man like snorkeling, and he accidentally has swallowed a mosquito because he sucked it into his snorkel tube. It feels like it could happen. I wouldn't rule it out. This one is 2 guys. You know how like people roll on logs in the water? There's like ants on it, and they're trying to stay out of the water, and they're saying, quick, back the other way, back the other way. I don't really want to get into that one. This one is a man who is hang gliding, but there's a plane behind him, and he's about to get hit by the plane, and the pilots haven't. It's like a Boeing 740, so like a big plane, and the pilots have not noticed him, and he looks really scared, but he's probably gonna die. This is the Christmas one. Gary released this on Christmas. It's a bunch of tomatoes throwing people at a performing tomato because he's doing a bad job. A lot of these are just like reversing the things. Like, instead of a man riding a horse, it'll be a horse riding a man. And you're just like, wow, what a comic. This one's a rhino looking into a... I don't get it. He's crushed a dog under his feet, and he's sticking his head inside a gramophone. I don't know what it's trying to say. Sorry, Gary, I don't get it. This is Santa, and he's yelling at his reindeer, and he's saying, and I've only one thing to say about all these complaints I've been hearing about venison. So, like, if the reindeers screw up, he's gonna eat them. This one is a kangaroo on a ledge, like it's about to commit suicide. And there's a woman inside the building on the phone, and she's saying, well, you better get someone over here right away. He really looks like he's gonna jump. It's dark. A lot of these are sad. A lot of these are just animals dying. This is another one where it's just the reverse. It's a cow going into a meat freezer, and the meat freezer is full of people, not cows. Like, instead of big, like in Rocky, like the meat freezer full of meat, it's like that, except instead of like cow carcasses, it's humans, and a cow's going into it. That's all. This one is a man ice fishing, and something is coming underneath him with a saw to like make him fall in the water. He hasn't realized. This one is two Plains natives in a bison costume, and they're in a herd, like I guess they're hunting, and they're saying, I said act nonchalant. That doesn't mean whistling. So like, cause like the bison are gonna know. Alright, that's the last one. So, we're on 1981. This is what I'm referring to by like Gary's art style and how he likes cows. Like, this is a lot better than it was. Alright. Alright, I dropped my phone. That's all for this one. We made it through 1 year. We have a lot to go. I think it goes to 2000, so we got 20 years. So that's like 40 videos. And like 40 times 1.5 is 60. So that's like 60 hours? Hope you're ready.